Port Charles has seen heroes come and go. Some walked into danger willingly. Others found themselves trapped by circumstances beyond their control. But nobody expected Van Hansis to become the center of a life-or-death crisis that would leave the entire town holding its breath. It all began with a secret, a dangerous secret. For weeks, Van had been investigating a mystery that nobody else seemed willing to touch. Strange financial records, missing evidence, and suspicious meetings pointed toward a powerful figure with something to hide. Most people would have backed away. Van did the opposite. The closer he got to the truth, the more determined he became. Friends warned him to stop. Family members begged him to be careful. Even trusted allies urged him to let the authorities handle the situation, but Van couldn't walk away. Too many innocent people were at risk, too many questions remained unanswered, and so he continued digging. What he eventually discovered was more shocking than anyone imagined. The corruption ran deeper than expected. Powerful names were involved, people with influence, people with resources, people who would do almost anything to keep their secrets buried. Unfortunately, Van now knew too much. The first warning arrived anonymously. A simple message slipped beneath his door: "Stop asking questions." No signature, no explanation, just a threat. Van ignored it. Days later, another warning followed. This time, it was more direct. His car was mysteriously damaged. Important documents vanished from his apartment. Someone wanted him scared. Someone wanted him silent. Yet every threat only strengthened his resolve. The truth mattered, and Van refused to abandon the people counting on him. As the investigation intensified, he finally obtained the evidence he needed: documents, photographs, records capable of exposing everything. The information could destroy reputations and send shockwaves through Port Charles. But before he could reveal what he had learned, disaster struck. Late one stormy evening, Van arranged a secret meeting at an abandoned warehouse near the waterfront. The source claimed to possess the final piece of evidence, the proof that would connect every part of the mystery. It sounded risky, because it was. Rain pounded the pavement as Van arrived. The area was eerily quiet. Too quiet. His instincts immediately told him something was wrong. Still, he pressed forward. Inside the warehouse, shadows stretched across the floor. Every sound echoed through the empty building. Van called out for his contact. No response. Only silence. Then he heard footsteps. Not one person, several. Suddenly, figures emerged from the darkness. The trap had been set, and Van had walked directly into it. The confrontation was intense. Questions turned into threats. Threats became violence. Van fought desperately to escape, but the odds were stacked against him. His attackers wanted the evidence. More importantly, they wanted to ensure he never revealed the truth. The struggle moved deeper into the warehouse. Broken crates shattered, metal beams rattled. The storm outside seemed to mirror the chaos unfolding within. Then came the moment nobody saw coming. A deafening crash echoed through the building. Part of the structure collapsed. Everything happened in seconds. One moment, Van was running. The next, debris came crashing down around him. Dust filled the air, the lights flickered, and then everything went dark. Hours later, emergency crews arrived. The scene was devastating. Rescuers searched tirelessly through the wreckage. Friends gathered nearby, desperate for news. Nobody knew whether Van had survived. The uncertainty was unbearable. As word spread throughout Port Charles, fear quickly replaced speculation. People who cared about Van found themselves confronting a terrifying possibility. What if this was goodbye? What if his determination to expose the truth had cost him everything? The emotional toll was enormous. Friends blamed themselves for not stopping him. Family members replayed their last conversations repeatedly. Everyone wondered whether they would ever see him again. Then, just when hope seemed to be fading, rescuers discovered something. A sound, a faint movement beneath the debris. Van was alive. Barely, but alive. That discovery sparked an urgent rescue effort. Every second mattered, every moment counted. As crews worked to free him, the entire town waited anxiously. Would he survive his injuries? Would he recover? And perhaps most importantly, would he still reveal the truth that nearly cost him his life? Those questions remain unanswered, for now. But one thing is certain. Van Hansis proved just how far he was willing to go for justice. He risked everything, his safety, his future, even his life. And as Port Charles waits for the next chapter of this incredible story, one truth stands above all others. Heroes aren't defined by the dangers they face, they're defined by the courage they show when facing them. Van Hansis faced unimaginable danger. Now the fight for survival has begun, and the entire town is praying he wins.